Hello everybody. What is Juche? That is the question which surprisingly many people spammed in my comment section, so we're answering it. To oversimplify, Juche is a socialist ideology which advocates for self-reliance and isolation from other countries. It's also the state ideology of North Korea, which is kinda controversial among leftists. We are really into fighting about whether Juche is leftist at all, with Marxist-Leninists, aka Tanky, people saying yes, and libertarian leftists like anarcho-communists saying no. In this video I will judge the theoretical ideology of Juche and focus less on how well those principles are implemented in North Korea nowadays. Both for the sake of time and for the sake of not getting hated by both of these groups. Juche is a Korean ideology, and it is specific to the conditions in Korea 100 years ago. According to North Korean sources, Juche was first developed by Kim Il-sung in the 1930s. During that time, Korea was colonized by Japan, and he was a member of the Anti-Imperialist Youth League. TLDR, eventually Japan starts and then loses a war with the USA, and the USSR also declares war at the last minute. They divide the Japanese empire up like this. They couldn't decide on what to do with Korea, so they split it in two and decided to deal with it later. They have not yet dealt with it. Kim Il-sung was a big boy socialist, so Stalin made him and his party the leaders of the new Democratic People's Republic of Korea, aka North Korea. Il-sung found himself in a political and material reality which was not suited to other forms of socialism which had been tried in other places. A Marxist-Leninist or syndicalist-style revolution would not have worked considering the education standards and geopolitical situation in North Korea at the time. So, as every socialist leader does, he made his own ideology specific to the Korean conditions. Juche has been in control of North Korea since the 50s. After the collapse of the USSR and most socialist nations in the early 90s, North Korea is one of the last countries with Cold War era socialism still in power. Juche is based on three main principles: political independence, economic self-sustenance, and self-reliance in defense. The first one means staying independent from imperialist nations like Japan, as well as independent from other socialist countries. Juche wants no country to rule over another one, since that would be a form of oppression, which Il-sung opposed because of his experiences in the Japanese Empire. The second one means as little import or trade with the outside world as possible. This is to make no country reliant on another one. All trade must be made between equals. And the last one means having enough guns to defend themselves against the USA, even without Soviet or Chinese support. They would of course practically enter into alliances and call upon their allies, but this was seen as the last possible step. The country was supposed to defend itself. In Juche, the Workers' Party of Korea is supposed to educate the people in the Juche idea and thereby socialism. Then the party and state will wither away as the people reach communism. This may seem similar to Marxism-Leninism, which similarly wants a party to rule and educate the people. But Juche does not like Leninism. It criticizes Leninists for being elitist and called the Communist Party of the USSR divorced from the masses. There is no mechanism by which the Workers' Party of Korea makes sure that they stay in touch with the masses, but hey, in theory that sounds nice, listening to the people and all. Juche also has a philosophical approach, which says that human beings are the most important things in the world, and that individual freedom and independence are the most important things anyone should have. This is because, unlike anything else in the universe, humans possess consciousness, which according to Juche makes them, and the expression of their consciousness, the most important thing there is. And because states are just collections of people, the same principle is applied to countries. This means the freedom of a country shall never be reduced or subverted by any other country, which is why the three main principles are what they are, to keep the state independent of outside forces. Juche wants countries to be independent from each other, just as it wants individuals to be independent from each other. The state is used as a tool for that goal. For example, by destroying capitalism, they want people to be independent of capitalists. And by upkeeping the army, they wish to remain independent from America and South Korea. In this ideology, the party, state, and the army are not seen as a separate class to the working class, as an anarchist would view it, but rather they are seen as a system which is run by members of the working class for members of the working class. Juche has a very strong and centralized state because of that. The state is seen as a proxy for the working class. Many people have many problems with Juche. For one, Juche has been becoming very nationalist over the last 3 decades. After the collapse of the USSR, they were standing as the only socialist nation against a global capitalist system. This is why nowadays, Juche also reaches into racial divisions and declares Koreans to be superior people to everyone else, especially Americans. Naturally, questions are raised whether that is compatible with leftism. Also, many have a problem with the isolation of North Korea. In the early 90s, it experienced a horrific lack of food. Not a famine, a lack of food to import. This was because most of the food was imported from the USSR, which by 1991 stopped existing. The new Russian Federation wasn't big into trading with a socialist nation in the middle of their economy completely collapsing as an after effect of switching to capitalism. The North Korean government also denied international aid, believing it to be a capitalist plot to turn the population against the ideas of Juche and the government. Nations using food aid to turn the population against their rulers is not unheard of, so I guess I see where they were coming from, but personally I would have accepted the aid. Yeah, keeping socialism is an important goal, but ultimately we are socialists to help people. To let them starve for socialism is defeating the point, in my mind at least. Of course, since the early 90s, North Korea is completely isolated from the world. You may think that this is their choice. After all, Juche talks about being independent and self-reliant. But this is actually because the entire world hates them. This is not me exaggerating. Every country has a trade embargo on North Korea. Nobody trades with them. And that makes the small mountainous country very poor. The most modern technology they have is from the late 90s, which was the last time a big country shared its research and achievements with them. North Korean subways were built in East Germany. There is no more East Germany, and modern Germany doesn't trade with them, so they are running 30 and 40-year-old subway cars without spare parts. And yes, they use coal to heat their homes and to drive their trains and to produce power, because North Korea has no other resources, and nobody wants to trade with them. The reason North Korea seems so underdeveloped is because it was kept that way by the capitalist nations, not because Juche inherently leads to these issues. Though North Korea is currently developing nuclear power plants to reduce its reliance on coal for energy generation, which is an important move considering climate change. And also the byproduct can be used to make nukes and threaten the USA. In conclusion, Juche is a very interesting ideology. It is in many ways similar to Leninism or Stalinism, but it has its own theories to accompany it. And the only reason so many care about it nowadays is because it is the state ideology of one of the only remaining Cold War-era socialist nations. That nation itself is suffering from both the implementations of the Juche idea and from the world's reaction to its beliefs and behaviors. Really, all I can say about Juche is that I am impressed it's still around considering everything. That was the video. Why don't you subscribe to my other channel? I didn't expect that, did ya? I upload videos there about my latest obsession. I'm sure you would love it. There's a video on why anorexia is bad actually. Bit rich coming from me. And there's one about why Chernobyl exploded. I would like to thank my patrons for supporting me, especially Comrade Asshole, Darius the Bird, Eric Betts, Noah, Alki, Attila Nemetz, Bryn Flores, Chairman Pineapple, Conrad Tube, Daniel Hyman, Dr. Grimm, Emily Marigold Klassen, Herdington Girdington, Joshua Clark, Masijay Roger, Morally Conflicted Tortoise, Nicholas Wiggins, Nora Quinn, Rayon DeVille, Sean Murphy, Stairmaster Chef, Stephen, I'm not sure, Hugo Castelos, Klaus Strupp, Poet and Trey for their generous donations. Bye! That's where the video ends.